Hi there, Kara here from Thrivuary, or astrokara.com, and I'm standing here at my countertop. I had just finished cooking a meal, and I was thinking about the archetype of Venus, and I had just recently posted, I think it was this morning, about tomorrow, January 18th, being the day that Mercury goes direct, ending the retrograde period that it's been in Capricorn. And you can check that out on Instagram or Facebook. But what I had also mentioned was, Mercury retrograde especially gets a lot of hype. And it has its own energies, of course. It has its own challenges. But the energy of right now, January 2023, and the early couple months here of the beginning of this year, Mercury is not the star player. Venus is. And I say that because there are significant pieces to that. I want to start by talking about some stereotypes that Venus has. Traditional astrology may say that Venus relates to human love, or it's all about relationships. And that's not wrong, but it's so much deeper than that. And, I think about the stereotypes that we give to, signs. Venus rules Taurus and it rules Libra. So, Taurians get this stereotype that they love to eat and they love really good food. And while that might be part of it, that's not all of it. And Librans get this stereotype that they just love beautiful things and, aesthetics are so important to them. And again, that's not necessarily untrue, but that's not the whole picture. Why does Taurus relate to food? And why does Libra relate to aesthetics or something that's visually pleasing? Well, that's a discussion for a whole, class. But thinking about Venus as the star player at the beginning of this year, why do I say that? Well, there's a couple different reasons. We currently have the karmic nodes, or the lunar nodes, in the signs of Scorpio and Taurus. When we're talking about the nodes of the moon, we're talking about the south node and the north node. And what they represent in the collective is the trajectory that we are on energetically, themes that we are working through. And it impacts us, of course, individually as we collectively feel the energy. So as we have been traversing and navigating the South Node in Scorpio, bringing up a lot of past dynamics with Scorpio themes, it is pushing us or propelling us to the North Node in Taurus. Why do we need to bring up the past and confront it? It's in order to understand where we are now and to move forward. So the North Node in Taurus is ruled by Venus. As I already mentioned, Venus and Taurus correlate together. And so if that's where we're going, and Venus is the ruler of that karmic node, then we should probably take a look at what Venus is doing. And the other thing that I thought was very interesting, I've heard a few astrologers mention this, is that as we came into this new year on January 1st, the nodal rulers were in a conjunction. So Pluto rules the South Node in Scorpio, Venus the North Node in Taurus. And they were in a conjunction in Taurus on January 1st. So again, that's just an indication that those energies are very significant. And Venus is a personal planet. Pluto is a transpersonal planet, meaning that Pluto is something that, because it moves so slowly, we call it a generational planet. And it impacts more long-term energies, where Venus transits the zodiac typically in about a year. And so we feel the impact of it more frequently, more regularly. So again, why am I talking so much about Venus? Well, Venus is now in Aquarius, and she has been in an aspect called a square to the karmic nodes. A square is a tense aspect when we're looking at it in a chart. It's usually felt as a challenge. The first quarter square is often referred to as the crisis in action, and the last quarter square, the crisis in consciousness. Again, this is a little deeper, and that's for a professional astrologer to understand and be able to discuss and apply. But what that really means is there is a significant amount of crisis energy associated with Venus themes, and specifically Venus themes in relation to past and future dynamics. Well, so what are Venus themes? How do I, as an evolutionary astrologer, view Venus? Venus represents our needs, our most basic, essential, emotional needs. In the sign of Taurus, it's how we survive. So there's the correlation to food. In Libra, it's how we relate. So there's the correlation to relationships and beautiful things and beautiful people. So if we're looking at Venus in a square aspect to the karmic nodes, we're being asked, what is it that we really need? What is it that we really want? And what are the things that do not belong in our life anymore? This was the Pluto conjunction with Venus at the beginning of the year. Pluto eliminates anything that doesn't belong, anything that is not going to carry us toward our continued evolution. Have you noticed where things have been eliminated from your life, even just in these first few weeks of the year? Maybe it was a relationship. Maybe it was a job. Maybe it was a habit. Maybe it was a thought process. Or maybe you haven't eliminated it, but you're feeling the need to. You're confronting something from the past that maybe is bringing up a feeling of loss, abandonment, or betrayal. And it's bringing you to the point of understanding that you have sovereignty, that you can stand in and sustain your own power. You have that ability beyond what anyone else or anything else relates to. In a square to the nodes, we may be feeling these extremes. Where have our attachments to people, places, things, ideas led us to be lost in it? Where have we lost ourselves in an attachment to someone or something else? Where are we being asked to now regain our sense of self? Or where have we maintained a sense of mistrust, hyper-independence, and hyper-vigilance? And where might we need to embrace vulnerability more? So what is it that we really want? What is it that you really want? Have you even allowed yourself to ask that question? What new ways can you bring joy back into your life? What new ways can you decide to embrace gratitude and play and fun? Just a couple thoughts I want to finish with, because this transit is going to be lasting for a couple of weeks. And then Venus is going to move into a conjunction with Saturn. Saturn represents time and structure and wisdom and maturity. But it can feel in the human experience like restriction and limitation. So as we're asking ourselves these things, what is it that I really want? What is it that I really need from myself and from others? We may feel a sense of restriction. We may feel this limitation. And it brings us to a point of frustration. But it's meant to push us forward. As Venus is in this conjunction with Saturn, it's also in a square to Uranus. If Saturn is structure, Uranus is the rebel, is the breakthrough, is the sudden insight that gets us to where we need to be. So as we feel the restriction that Saturn might be placing on us, it's putting that pressure there to mature us and also to give us a sense of it's time to break through. It's time to break free. Be on the lookout for, I say be on the lookout, and you really can't look out for it because Uranus is very spontaneous, sudden, and almost shocking sometimes. But I guess instead of be aware, I would say be open. Be open to the possibilities and know that the frustration that you may be feeling is there to help push you forward. And the past dynamics that are being brought up for you to confront are just that. For you to confront it and determine whether or not you want those things to be a part of your life now and in the future. Because you have sovereignty. You have power. You have value and you have worth. And you have the ability to decide what it is that you want. You have the ability to understand what it is that you need. And you have the ability to ask for what you need, if not from others, from yourself. And that's the most important. If you need help understanding or getting back in touch with these things, evolutionary astrology has a wonderful way of looking at your birth chart and extrapolating these themes I can help you maybe get back in touch with some of your needs and reconnecting with parts of yourself that maybe you had forgotten. I'm a safe space and I provide support. You can find me at astrokara.com or at Thriveuary on Instagram and Facebook. Until next time, take care.